We millennials were treated to so many Christmas movies in our childhood, but none compares to Home Alone, which epitomizes what it was like to be a kid in the early 90s. Hi, I'm Michelle Hickey, the director of Film and Paper Club. In this video, I'm joined by my friend Kalyn from KalynBrooke.com for a discussion about this holiday favorite. Is Home Alone an introvert's fantasy story? Does it appeal only to a millennial audience? Did it inspire us to set booby traps to prevent burglaries in our own homes? Stay tuned as we answer all of these questions and more.
I was probably about 7 or 8 when I watched Home Alone for the first time, and my older boy cousins just could not stop giggling and laughing. And so I was like, well, I want to be cool, so I'm going to laugh at this too, even though maybe I didn't quite understand all of it. But it just became a thing that we started watching every single year. And you feel that sense of just belonging and togetherness. We're all in the living room, on the armchairs, on the couches, just watching this movie and laughing. And so anytime Home Alone comes up in my head, that's what I think of.
I love that holiday movies specifically bring up these wonderful memories and traditions, because I think that there are people, and I'm one of them, who will randomly watch a Christmas movie at some other point of the year, but it's the kind of thing that we watch over and over again because we're not really given the opportunity to get sick of them, because we typically only watch them in, seasonally.
Right. And there's things I still catch after my, rewatch this week that I was like, oh, I forgot that was in there. And it's just so nostalgic and cozy and fun.
I consider this to be the ultimate VHS movie. I feel like I've probably seen this movie 100 times, yet I don't think I have ever played it myself. I've never said, let's watch this, let's stream it, or let's, back in the day, let's play the DVD, let's play the VHS. It was always just on. Visiting friends and family over the holidays, someone always just had this movie on. And I also think it's probably one of those movies that, while I feel like I've seen it so many times, I probably only seen it from beginning to end fully, maybe 5 times, because you're always just kind of catching bits and pieces of it.
I think that kind of goes back to our childhood too, where we just had cable. We didn't have streaming. So when you turn the TV on, it was just on to whatever was playing. And so I experienced that as well. Whereas nowadays, I don't know that you just turn the TV on to actually stream something.
Yeah, exactly. It's rare now that you start something in the middle or might just catch a piece of it. So we've definitely evolved in the way that we consume movies. This next question is very specific to me and you, in that we are both bona fide introverts. We very much value our alone time. So, as a child, did you ever pine for a situation like this in which Kevin finds himself in being home alone and having a peace and quiet to yourself?
It's funny that you asked this, because the answer is no. I love being home alone now, but there's a very distinct memory of my family getting ready for church one Sunday morning, and I don't know what I was doing, lagging behind or something, and they were all in the car, and they're like, we are going to leave you and just go to church ourselves. And they did. I mean, but they only rode around the block. I was so scared. And so that's my experience of being home alone, was for 2 minutes as they drove around the block. No. And I was never late again.
It worked. Good parenting tactic. It was interesting that you said watching a movie that you've seen so many times, but through the lens of maybe looking at it critically or just from an adult's perspective. And for the first time, I thought, okay, so many kids, I don't know if they have a fantasy of this, but there's a thing with kids in books especially wanting to run away from home. Like that is a thing for kids. And what I love about this concept of Home Alone is it's like that, but in reverse. Because Kevin definitely has, he's having conflict with his family, with specifically with his mom, and you can kind of see him having the idea of running away, but it's almost like he wishes for that and he gets it, but everyone else runs away and he gets to stay home. So I thought that was a really creative take for a kids movie or a family movie.
Well, have you ever had like a time in your life where you thought, I'm gonna run away?
I don't think that I ever did. I was kind of like a fraidy cat kind of kid, so I would never make it. And plus, I'm not outdoorsy. I mean, just making it out the front door would have been a struggle.
Yeah. And I would have never done it, but I packed my bag out of drama and sat on the steps, like hoping someone would be like, no, wait, don't. That's about as far as I got. No matter if you're an adult or a kid, you can find yourself in like one of the siblings or in one of the adults. Like when I'm thinking the whole sequences of the parents and their kids running through the airport. I mean, what like parent has not had a frustrating traveling experience with kids and just all the stress that comes with that and trying to make a flight. So I feel like that the parents can kind of relate to. And then with the kids, depending on when you're born, in that birth order, you can kind of slip yourself in there. And I also think there's such a huge family theme running through the film that I didn't think about as a kid that I am recognizing now as an adult, with Kevin realizing that, oh, wait, I wished my family away. And while it was fun for like a couple days, I really missed them, and even though there were things I didn't like I really loved them still because they're my family. And then with Kevin's interaction with the, I can't think of his name, but the older man across the street, there's his family when he and Kevin talk in the church about, well, Kevin's like, maybe you should call your son, don't be afraid. You can't know, you can't worry until you know if he'll talk to you or not. So there was just like this huge thread of family that the writers and director kind of wove through the whole movie, which was just really delightful to experience as an adult.
I thought the same about, especially with his Kevin's relationship with the older gentleman who lives in his neighborhood. I remember as a kid, like, always feeling really emotional, in that scene in the church and then like at the very end when he like reconciles with his son, but like not really, like it was moving something in me, but I didn't really know why. But now I feel like it's really clear that this is a movie about parents and kids not understanding one another. And that is like a universal problem that affects all ages, grown-ups and their relationships with their adult parents and kids with their relationship with their adult parents. And it was just, this story is I know it's so funny and lively and entertaining, but it has this real human story at the heart of it. It's such a lesson for us. I feel like I keep kind of saying this again and again in our movie discussions, but it just keeps ringing true that there really only are those basic human emotional things that we all deal with, and we don't have to reinvent it. Like, I think that the strongest stories lean on those things, and then everything else is like, it's like the decorations. It's like, how do you want to tell the story? But at the heart, the more that they are the same, I think the more powerful they are.
Families get a bad rap because they're like, oh, the drama around the holidays, who's gonna, get in a fight with who, or who's gonna get on someone's nerves. But it's like at the end, you wouldn't trade them for the world.
It is. And movies help us remember that. All right, so let's push our emotions aside for a minute and let's talk about the absolute fantastic comedy that exists in this movie. I mean, so many, physical pranks and cues that we get to see, mostly coming from, Kevin's interactions with Harry and Marv. I remember my cousin asking my sisters and I this question when we were kids, and I think of it every time I watch the movie. But what is your favorite prank or booby trap that Kevin sets for Harry and Marv?
Oh goodness, there's so many, especially like that final night when it's just one right after another. But I think mine is the I think it was the night before, maybe the first night when he set up the cardboard thing of Michael Jordan, and then he had all the mannequins from the basement just like dancing to Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree. I every time I hear that song, that's the scene that immediately pops into my head. And so that is probably my all-time favorite. Just watching them throughout the windows and then getting a glimpse inside at what is actually happening.
We're really getting a look at the time era, like the Michael Jordan cutout, like kind of just like brings us back to that time. Now, as like a creative person and as someone who does problem solving in my work, I'm like, what an elegant solution to this problem that he had. It was just
Yeah,
to create this scenario. And the only thing that always bugged me, I always thought this was like, this worked. Why didn't he keep doing this for the rest of
right.
like of the time that his family was away?
That's true. I didn't think of that because they had to show more pranks.
They did. They did. The movie wouldn't have been nearly as entertaining, but yeah, that I felt like that could have been an effective solution, but we'll cut him some slack because he was a kid.
Yeah.
This was, also just kind of like a simple solution, and I think that the reason I love this particular prank so much is because it feels so much like a slapstick type of action, but it's just the paint cans attached to the strings. It's just it's so it's nothing fancy. It's just
hmm
but it works. It works and it's funny and it still makes me laugh to this day.
Yeah, and like Marv got hit first, and then like Harry, what was his thought? Like going up the stairs, like I'm not gonna get hit. But it is that stupidity that even as a kid, you're just laughing so much at it.
Yeah, and I think that we as kids very much like all look up to Kevin like, "Oh, he's so cool that he was able to
Yep.
like figure all this stuff out by himself."
Yep.
I still respect him.
I did call my mom because I was like, I remember something about me being obsessed with like robbers after this movie. And she was like, yes, that is correct. Like, she's like, I don't think you did like any booby traps unless it was like in your room and I didn't know about it. But I do, like, I don't know if more kids felt that way, where after they were like, oh, how are robbers going to get in? Like, are our doors locked? Are our windows locked? What are we going to do if they come and we're here? What are we going to do, if they come and we're not here? So that was just kind of like something that I had not thought about in a while that triggered for that movie, especially like watching that at a young age. And I think my mom didn't want me to keep watching it because I kept bringing up the whole burglar situation.
To your memory, do you remember ever setting a booby trap or trying to conceive of one?
I'm pretty sure I tried to think of one, but like that maybe involves strings or something across the floor, but it is so hazy.
I'm sure you could come up with a really good solution now that you have all
Probably,
your creative experience.
yeah, definitely. We don't get sick of these movies because we watch them, one time a year. I think it's just a great way to revisit all the old ones and also see some of the new ones that like come out on Netflix. I just think it's really cozy just to snuggle up on the couch with a blanket, cup of hot cocoa, twinkly lights in the corner on the tree, and just watch these movies.
You have a resource that you share, right? That's a Hallmark movie tracker.
I do. I have a list of like this year's Hallmark movies, but I update it every year
Awesome.
with new movies. So I can. It's a post that on how to watch Hallmark movies without cable, because no one really has cable
Yep.
anymore. But yeah, so yeah, we could link that. But I know how much you hate Hallmark movies, so the conversation probably ends here.
I do. And I shouldn't say like I hate them. Just the couple that I've seen, I'm just like, I need more. I need like, I don't know. I don't know what, but there's something missing from it.
I don't know why I watch them. I don't know if it's just the cheesy factor. I don't know if it's just like nostalgia from like watching them, like my mom and I just watching them. So yeah, they're not like epic Christmas movies, but I guess maybe they're kind of the ones you'll have on in the background.
Yeah, and I mean, clearly there's a huge audience for them. So just because they're not for me
Yeah.
doesn't, I'm sure there are so many people who are going to be thrilled to get access to your resource. Thanks so much for joining us for this discussion. If you have thoughts and insights to share about Home Alone, we would love to keep the conversation going inside of our Film and Paper Club members area. Share your voice, your favorite snacks, and meet other smart, creative people who love chatting about movies, television, and books. We hope you can join us for one of our upcoming virtual movie club events or book club meetings. Please visit members.filmandpaperclub.com for all of your membership options. To grab the Hallmark movie checklist that we mentioned in this video, click in the description below or search Hallmark on KalynBrooke.com. Her site is filled with so many other resources for living a simple, happy, creative life. So if you're into that, I hope you'll spend some time exploring Kalyn's content. Before you go, if you enjoyed this video, please let us know by giving it a thumbs up and hitting that subscribe button to ensure you won't miss out on any of our upcoming releases. Next week, we'll be concluding our holiday film series with one of the oldest and most special stories of all time, It's a Wonderful Life. I hope to see you then.